We have 1.5 DOM steel tubing, 63 thousandths of an inch thick sheet metal with dimple dies. How's everybody doing? We are back working on the Jeep XJ front bumper. So to bring you guys up to speed, there's been a little bit of work done since I brought you along last time. All right, so we got everything bent up. The main structure is all welded. I cut out 63 thousandths thick sheet metal that I cut and then welded all along here to fill in the top. It's basically flush with these vertical brackets back here. We got our fog light brackets going on there. So we're gonna start smoothing out all these welds, just like we did on the back bumper. Might use a little bit of body filler to help smooth it all out and then get this in primer. One other thing, I need to come up with a spot for the plug for the removable winch, and I think that's gonna end up coming through somewhere here. So I gotta figure that out today. And then finally, we'll get the welder out and we'll run beads along the dimple die plates to tie them all in, just like we did on the back. So yeah, let's get to it. So I just finished a round of the hardback wheel, and I chased it with some 80 grit on a flat sanding disc. Starting to get the contour of this blended in. So now we're gonna use the same 80 grit flap wheel, try to blend the seam. Obviously, it'd be better to have this be all one piece of sheet metal, but I didn't have it set up that way, so we will. So we'll get this blended some more, and then I will be welding that and get some primer on it. See what time it is. Went over everything with the random orbital sander, 80 grit, getting pretty close. So now we're going to lay down a bead the whole way along here, clean this all up pretty nice. And I was not happy with how this weld went, so I'm going to die grind that out and then put a new bead in there. Finishing touches on the bumper. All right, so I put some Bondo very lightly on a few areas. We'll sand that out just to smooth everything out. And one of the last details I need to figure out is where the plug for my removable winch will come through for the power. So this is an Anderson plug for winch power. I'm going to angle it kind of like this, and then there will be a cutout in here that allows the other end of it to plug in. So might end up doing some sort of like 3D printed filler plate for that. We'll see. Trying to keep it as discreet as possible, but just gotta try something. If it doesn't work, we'll weld it back up. We have 1.5 DOM steel tubing, 63 thousandths of an inch thick sheet metal with dimple dies. Those are two Road Shock LED floodlights on the bottom. I'm not sure if I really like those or not, but let me know what you think. The front edge is contoured to match the same radius as the header panel. I left the ends of the bumper short enough that when I do the fender trim, when we go to bigger tire size, shouldn't be an issue. Everything is flush with the bottom of where the stock bumper mounts were. We have inch-thick clevis mounts. We have a receiver with vertical bolting underneath for my winch cradle from Harbor Freight. We have an Anderson plug that comes out right there for winch power. And I decided not to go with a front hoop at all. I like keeping it pretty subtle. I didn't get an official weight on it, but it's not too heavy. It's a little heavier than it looks since it has that receiver tube in the middle, but pretty happy with it. And then, just to remind you guys, if you didn't see the rear bumper video, more or less matches a lot of the same style. Of course, the rear bumper, I have this quarter panel armor that's tied in with the frame stiffeners right here, or unibody stiffeners. So that's removable there. The unibody's trimmed to keep those angles nice. We're gonna move this fog light to somewhere that it won't get crushed like it did in the last 24-hour event. Currently, I don't have this tied into the unibody stiffeners in the middle, so I'm not gonna be using it as a recovery point just yet. And again, these are trimmed short, so when we trim the fenders out, will be bigger. Just remind everybody, we have 2x6 rock sliders here, full frame stiffeners front to back, outriggers coming in all these areas. So that's all armored up pretty well. So pretty happy. This is the first tube project I've done in a long time, so it was good to refresh my skills. So as you guys can see here, I still have a lot of tubing. So I have 8 more sticks of 1.5" DOM that is going to become a hybrid exo cage. So I was really debating whether or not I wanted to just buy an exo cage, but I'm gonna end up doing it pretty specifically for how I want it. So the one tube in the next part of this project is gonna be hidden behind the sheet metal here. It'll come out, that tube's gonna follow up. There'll be a nice gentle curve rolled into it to match the body line. You can see here, it's not perfectly straight, so we're going to try to keep that as well. There'll be several crossbars that run over. And then on the inside, I have all the carpet and headliner stripped out. So we'll figure out vertical members that'll come up here. There will be bolted flanges that go through the roof to connect and give my lateral support. There'll be some triangulation behind the rear seat. Probably be adding some headrest in there. So yeah, it's all starting to come together. So I need to have this together for winter 2026. We'll be doing another 24-hour event in West Virginia. So that'll be here before we know it. And you know, I think to do hybrid exo cages right, it takes a lot of time. I'm a bigger guy, so when I'm in the seat, I got to make sure the tubes aren't too close to my head, all that good stuff. So it's been fun. If you like these kind of projects, consider liking, subscribing, and we'll be getting to the cage here in the next couple